If a man fears death, he has already surrendered his life.
Rome, 44 BC. Not at the beginning, not at the rise. At the moment, everything begins to fracture. I knew how this story ends. I just didn't expect to stand inside it. Imagine being kidnapped by pirates in the heart of the Mediterranean. Most men would beg for mercy, but not Gaius Julius Caesar. When his captors demanded 20 talents of silver for his ransom, Caesar laughed in their faces. He told them they didn't know who they had captured, and insisted he was worth at least 50. For 38 days, he treated his kidnappers like his personal servants. He wrote poems, practiced his speeches, and told them to their faces that once he was free, he would return and crucify them all. The pirates thought it was a joke. They were wrong. He returned with a fleet, captured them, and kept his word. This was the world's first glimpse of the man who would soon bring the Roman Republic to its knees. To understand Caesar, you must understand his bloodline. He was born into the gens Julia, a patrician family, the highest aristocracy of Rome. They even claimed to be direct descendants of the goddess Venus herself. But being a patrician didn't mean being rich. Caesar's family lived in the Subura, a crowded, noisy, and dangerous neighborhood. They had the name, they had the history, but they lacked the gold to match their ambition. To rise in Rome, one needed more than a sword. They needed a voice. Caesar mastered the art of rhetoric, studying under the finest Greek teachers. He was building the tools to persuade the masses and command the world.
The provinces report unrest. We must respond. Agreed, our legions are prepared. We need a unified front. Then it is decided.
Rome was a republic built on a fear of kings. Power was split between two consuls, elected for just 1 year. They had to agree on everything, ensuring that no single man could ever rule Rome alone.
Senators, your anger changes nothing. Traitor! You defy Rome! I defy only your corruption. You will fall! Then I fall with honor.
Beneath them was the Senate, the house of the rich, and the tribunes, who spoke for the poor. It was a delicate balance of power, a political machine that had lasted for centuries, until it started to break. Then came Sulla. He was the first to seize Rome by force. declaring himself dictator. He posted lists of his enemies in the forum. Anyone on that list was a dead man. And young Caesar's name was right at the top. Julius Caesar, not a king, but a man who would one day come closer to absolute power than anyone before him. He was not born into power, only into a name, and in Sulla's Rome. A name could open doors, but it could not keep them open. To survive the dictator's wrath, the young nobleman had to make a choice.
Caesar,
Sulla's demand was simple and brutal.
tyranny, Sulla.
Divorce your wife
you
Cornelia,
invite chaos,
the daughter of my enemy,
invite
to prove
justice.
your submission. Obey or join the list. But Caesar refused to break. He looked the dictator in the eye and chose defiance. It was a choice that stripped him of his inheritance, his titles, and forced him into the immediate shadows of the Italian mountains. Exiled, stripped of his titles, and hunted by Sulla's men, the young Caesar fled Italy. He traveled to the edges of the Roman world, joining the army in Asia Minor, in what is today Turkey. He was no longer an aristocrat protected by a noble name. He was a soldier in the mud. During a brutal siege at Italy, the real test came. The fortress was surrounded by chaos, fire, and arrows. Caesar risked his own life, charging into danger to shield a wounded fellow legionnaire. For this bravery, he was awarded the civic crown, Rome's highest military honor for saving a citizen. Sulla had tried to destroy him, but he only gave Caesar his first taste of military glory.
He conquered the world at my age, and I have done nothing.
Years later, while serving in Spain, Caesar came across a statue of Alexander the Great. He wept, realizing that at his age, Alexander had already conquered the world, while he had achieved nothing. His ambition was now a burning fire.
For the people of Rome! Your loyalty warms my heart. Hail Caesar!
Back in Rome, Caesar played a dangerous game. He borrowed massive fortunes to fund lavish festivals and cheap grain for the poor. He became the most popular man in the city, and the most heavily indebted. He was either going to rule Rome or go to prison. He learned quickly. In Rome, power was never taken alone. It was built through alliances, through loyalty, and through ambition.
Together, we are Rome.
In 60 BC, Caesar made his master move. He formed a secret alliance with Pompey, Rome's greatest general, and Crassus, its richest man. This First Triumvirate bypassed the Senate entirely. Caesar finally had the power he craved. In 59 BC, the alliance went to work. To win the consulship, Caesar needed the votes of the Century Assembly. The council dominated by the rich. Crassus used his immense wealth to buy the votes, while Pompey flooded the streets with his veteran soldiers to intimidate any opposition. The election was a sham. Through money and muscle, Caesar secured the highest office in Rome.
Citizens of Rome, we march on Gaul!
Hail Caesar, Roma Invicta!
As consul, Caesar bulldozed his way through the laws, but he knew his power was temporary. To truly dominate, he needed a war. He secured the governorship of Gaul, turned his back on Rome, and prepared to march into history. But Rome did not fear politicians. It feared generals, and Caesar was becoming one of the most powerful commanders Rome had ever seen.